Welcome back. It's our second part of Pranayama. In this Pranayama video, we're going to build upon what we learned in the first week's Pranayama. Now, Pranayama is something that needs to be practiced regularly. It's not just something that you do one day a week. So I'm going to encourage you to continue this practice each day throughout the next week if you have time. Now, it doesn't need to be done at the same time that you're practicing the yoga class. So if you're practicing in the morning, you can practice the Pranayama in the evening. Sunset is the ideal time, but as my teacher always would say when people would ask, what's the ideal time for this or this? She would just say, whenever you can make it work. So I encourage you to just find a time that makes it work for you, create a little ritual or routine around it, and some sacred space. Now, you've been practicing, ideally, the techniques from week 1, and these techniques are going to build upon that. So it's important that you have an upright seat where you can position your diaphragms, pelvic, respiratory, and cervical diaphragms without straining. So often I taught this to beginners, first lying down so that they could completely relax, then in a chair, because we tend to be seated most in chairs, and to sit cross-legged is uncomfortable for most. So unless you already have a cross-legged seat practice, you can sit like that. Otherwise, in today's video, I'm going to show floor and then chair. Now, what do I want to say about the diaphragm? I think I said everything I wanted to say. So let's get right into it. You know from the first week. You can always watch the first week again as a refresher. Okay, so lie down onto your back, and we're going to do knees bent, feet down onto the floor so that our hip flexors can completely relax. Turn the palms up. If you have a tight neck and your chin tips back, I highly recommend putting a folded blanket underneath your head. Let your shoulders and let your body relax. And without trying to control the breath, I want you to just tune into the breath. Notice the rhythm of the breath and the quality. Feel the sensation of the lungs expanding and the lungs deflating. And your lungs being in the rib cage and the chest cavity, notice how the ribs can expand. And notice how the deeper you relax, the greater the expansion and contraction can be. Now start to slow down your breath so that you can make room without any strain, and follow the breath all the way to the end of the exhalation without straining your neck or your jaw or your tongue. Through this full and complete breath cycle, notice the effects on the nervous system. Now that we've practiced relaxing and tuning into the breath, we're going to move into a seated technique. So roll over to your side and find your seat, whether that's sitting on the block, sitting on some folded blankets, or, as I suggested, grabbing a chair. Here's a chair. All right. So for most, it'll be easiest to sit in the chair. And this is the way that my teacher introduced pranayama. As a result of BKS Iyengar's teaching, actually, he saw that many Westerners felt, he noticed so much tension that they were holding in their body when they tried to do cross-legged pranayama. So he introduced this technique. So sitting with the palms up, resting on your thighs, or palms down if it feels more comfortable, wherever you can relax your shoulders completely. Align your body right up over top of your pelvis. And we're going to practice feeling the expansion of the rib cage as we did. As you breathe in, notice the bottom ribs, then the middle ribs expanding out to the sides, top ribs. Feel the full 360-degree expansion. Like a ball, you're expanding in your ribs. And as you breathe out, imagine the ball fully deflating. Feel where the breath returns to. And you stay calm, you don't overdo it. Always checking in with the nervous system. And all these techniques, we're seeing if we can apply more extreme techniques while keeping the nervous system calm. This is the foundation that so many breathwork practices nowadays are missing. And this is how pranayama is taught by the master teachers. All right, now open your eyes. The next thing that we're going to practice is the Ujjayi pranayama. So imagine that you have a mirror in front of your mouth and you're fogging up the mirror as you exhale. Now see if you can make that same noise with your mouth closed. Okay? See if you can make it on the inhalation. And on the exhalation. Okay. Now, you're going to attempt to make that noise as smooth as you can without straining, keeping the nervous system calm. This can be very difficult. This takes months, sometimes years, a lifetime to fully master. So as you become more practiced at it, you could think of it like, did you ever learn to play a winded instrument or a violin or something like that? Have you ever heard a kid trying to learn one of those instruments? There's so much room for air trying to blow across the reeds, or trying to get the violin to try to get that fine noise. That's what you're looking for with this Ujjayi breath. If you start to sputter, it means you're doing too much. If you're straining, you're doing too much. So try to find just that perfect sound. And I'm gonna suggest we go to 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, but that might not be for you. So I'm gonna show the technique over the next minute, but then when we end the class, I'm just gonna ask you to try to practice it for 3 minutes on your own. So here we go. Open up your body and sit up tall, and then gently tip your chin to your chest without your chest sinking. Keep your diaphragms aligned. Exhale all the air out. Ujjayi pranayama. Let go of the breath control. Gently raise your head. Before you open your eyes, notice the sensation. It should feel quite amazing if it went well. Open your eyes. Pretty cool. Less is more with the pranayama. Now, a couple of things I want you to practice when this video ends and you do it on your own for 3 minutes. When you're breathing in, instead of pulling the air up through your nostrils, towards your head, I want you to think of the air moving straight down. Instead of sucking the air in, I want you to think of relaxing so that the ribs can expand, so that air moves in as a result. It's a slightly different sensation. You're going to notice a difference. On the very last breath, I held the microphone closer to me about halfway through. And on the very last breath, I sucked it up as opposed to just making the space. And you can hear I sputter. It also feels unsteady and uncomfortable when I breathe that way. So we're very slightly tuning this breath practice. Do it for 3 minutes, and then let me know in the comment section how it went after adding these nuances. Make sure to practice this every day this week if you can. You're going to notice the benefits, and the familiarity and being able to stay comfortable, calm, and relaxed will increase the longer that you practice, the more frequently you practice. Thank you.